Let's laugh and reminisce together about our early adventures and discuss how we could make Eve more approachable. Put your hands together for CCP Havran and CCP Nomad.
Hello, Fanfest. How are you doing today? Woo! Great. My name is CCP Havran, which means raven, by the way, in my native language. And before you ask about my fit, it's obviously cruise missiles. I've been with CCP for about 3 years, so I'm a relatively new EVE player.
And I'm CCP Nomad. I'm senior game designer for EVE Online. I'm at CCP for 10 years now, but I've been playing for 20, so I know some stuff.
Now, me, as a relatively new player, I know that it can be sometimes tough, but also it can be really funny. Nomad, do you know any funny stories about new players in EVE?
I have many stories. Many of them include myself. So, for example, I remember the first time I went out mining in a cruiser, Minmatar cruiser, somewhere in Lowsec, in my first week of playing or two, and I got killed, obviously. And I was pretty mad about it. Like, why would you kill me? What did I do to you? So yeah, I sent a message to that person asking those questions and generally expressing that I was upset. And he replied to me, "I don't care." And that was very deep. That made me realize something about this game. But I continued to send him the same message or similar message every year on the annual anniversary of that kill. Was asking me, "Dude, I'm still upset." And he was replying, "Dude, I still don't care." And I think that still is probably the most significant friendship that I had in the game. Like, I really think about this guy to this day. So yeah, that was my experience. Do you have a story?
Yes, I do, actually. So this story is not about me, but it's about another player. Let's call him Billy. And this player is relatively new, about 3 days old, but he's already got a corp. The only problem is that this corp is in nullsec, and Billy's in highsec. So his corps warn him, just be careful. All you have to do is be careful, and you'll be all right. So Billy sells everything that he has, boards his catalyst, and flies. He flies through highsec. He flies through lowsec. Nothing happens. Once he jumps through the gates to nullsec, he immediately gets waylaid by pirates. And he tells the pirates, "I'm just a new player. Please don't kill me. I'm just trying to get to my corpse HQ in nullsec." And the pirates are like, "Okay, since you are new, we're going to help you. We're not going to kill you, and we're even going to escort you. But you have to make us laugh every minute while we do it." Now, luckily, Billy is a master old fabber and has funny jokes queued up in his browser. And so they fly, they escort him, they're having a good time, they're laughing, Billy tells jokes. He kind of starts liking these guys. They're fun, right? They even get attacked by other players, and they fight them off. They escort Billy, they protect him, like they said. So before they jump to the system of his corpse HQ, Billy's pretty sure that they're just going to kill him, just for the lulz, right? But they don't. Maybe they're nice pirates. Who knows? Immediately, after they jump in that system, all the pirates get immediately annihilated by Billy's corp mates. And that makes Billy sad, right? He and the pirates, they spend time together. They bonded, right? So Billy starts spying for the pirates. He gives the pirates his corp's private information. He tells them what the corp's doing. And he even starts skimming a little bit of ISK from the top of his corp and sending it to the pirates. And as far as I know, to this day, Billy is still a spy and is still working for the pirates. So, do you guys know any funny stories? Please, if you do, raise your hand and we will find you at the mic. Please.
There you go. Do we have the mic person? around.
All right, well, I can talk pretty loud.
Go ahead.
Oh, there we go.
Thank you. All right, so I started back in 2013. Not as long as some of you guys, but still a pretty long time ago, back when things were a lot more difficult. And back then, the new player experience was you're in a pod in space, and your rookie ship is right next to you. Well, I didn't know that part, and I just go and I warp off. I also didn't know that you can't do any part of the tutorial unless you hop into that rookie ship. So I couldn't handle Aura continuously yelling at me to go and get in that rookie ship, so I just kept telling her to shut up, shut up, shut up. And to this day, I have a negative base standing with Aura. So I'm like, okay, what do I want to do? Well, let's go mining. I want to build stuff, because I see all these stories of people getting blown up. I'm like, oh, cool, it'd be cool to have someone blow up in something I made for them. That sounds fun. So I get in a catalyst with a bunch of mining lasers, and I go mining a rock. I'm like, a week later, I have 1,000 units of Veldspar, thinking I'm all hot shit. That's a lot, 1,000's a big number. Until some corporation flew up to me like, what the fuck are you doing? And then they kind of kidnapped me, and now I'm here.
Nice.
Nice. Thank you for the story. Does anyone else have a story that they want to share with us? Yes, over there. Over there, gentlemen.
Thank you. So I've only been playing for about a little over a year and a half, and I've been playing sort of safe this entire time. I've been playing very high sec, a little bit of faction warfare here and there, so I know a little bit about the rules of engagement. So I thought I would go out of my comfort zone a little bit and start exploring low sec and null sec as a solo. And so what I did is I was like, okay, I'm going to kind of be a little bit of a scumbag. I'm going to start kind of going around and see if I can sort of start fights with people. Well, I went into a low sec area with a station. And I saw somebody kind of coming out, and it looks like they were going to go do some faction warfare. And I was like, okay, let me try to see if I can give this guy a hard time, because I really want to get more comfortable with this PvP thing. So I go up to him, and I start following him around, and I start engaging him. And I'm like, my heart is racing. I'm like, I've never done this before. I've always kind of just been a pacifist. And I see in the local chat, he goes, what are you doing? And then immediately I start getting targeted by the sentry turrets around a gate. Because, if you start going criminal, you will still get targeted by turrets. And so very promptly, my MOA got blown up that I had saved a lot of ISK for in a matter of seconds. And the guy was like, do you not get these rules for engagements? And I'm like, no, I'm really sorry. I don't know what I was doing, but I learned a lesson that day, and it was, read the EVE wiki before you actually do anything, or EVE University. So.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wants to tell a story?
Yep, here.
Over there in the corner. Over there.
So my very first day, I get my venture and I fly way out into nullsec to go find some rocks, because I want to get the best rocks, of course. And within a couple hours, I get just immediately blown up. Like, as soon as I get all the way out there, as soon as I get into the system, get to the belt, I get blown up. But ever since then, that started my fascination with trying to find the best possible rocks. So I trained for months and months and months to finally get into the prospect to get Mercoxy, because I was like, oh, I can get this cloaky ship, I can get Mercoxy, I can get the best rocks. I spend several hours waiting until right around downtime, when the server kind of gets a little lower player count, to go to this quiet system to mine Mercoxy. But by the time I finally get out there, it's like 4 a.m. my time, and I am just exhausted. And I pass out on my keyboard and decloak myself in the system. And I sit there for about 8 hours, and am absolutely terrifying the locals there. Because they see a prospect just sitting in their system, and little did I know, it's typically a Cyno ship, right? So I end up getting killed by them, and I wake up the next morning in my pod, in my station, absolutely confused on how I got there, and I see this little message in the bottom of my corner saying, hey, sorry, we killed you. We are actually an NRDS group, but you were just terrifying our locals for 8 hours. We couldn't do anything, and as soon as they killed us, as soon as they killed me, they saw my fit and were like, oh fuck. And they invited me to fly with them, and I've been with them ever since.
Oh,
That's amazing.
amazing story, thank you. There's one more in the corner over there to the left.
Well, we go back like the year 2003. Yes, I'm a dinosaur.
Nice.
And we were amongst the first ones in Null. And I got, oh, a nice distribution mission, 30 jumps away, it's safe. It's a story of plain stupidity. So I fly out, 30 jumps to the station. I arrive there. Why can't I complete the mission? Okay, fly back. 30 jumps. Oh, I forgot to accept the mission. I hit accept mission, fly back, 30 jumps. Something must be wrong. I check. Oh, damn, I forgot the cargo. 30 jumps back, 30 jumps. Finally, I did the mission. And somebody talked to me like, oh, yes, oh, you're back. You were just doing a simple distribution mission. Yes, I did like 120 jumps for the mission. That's impossible. Oh, yes, but if you forget to accept and then forget your cargo, well, let's say, been there, done that multiple times.
Well done.
It's impressive, thank you.
Well, mine's certainly not as exciting as the other stories, but it hopefully shows what Eve can do in the real world. So in 2008, I'd lost a long-time job, and I started working as a contractor. And I discovered within about a month or so that my manager played Eve, and his secondary played Eve. So since I'm a sci-fi buff, I asked him, I was like, hey, can I join up with you? And we did. So since 2008, January 1, I've been playing Eve. And I'm also happy to say that in August of that year, that manager hired me, and I've been there for 16 years. So, Eve, thank you for the job and helping me kiss my boss's ass.
It's a very inspiring story, thank you. Okay, now I want to talk a little bit about how new player experiences evolved over the years. So, several years ago, we added the tutorial that we called the new player experience, which narratively explains how you as a capsule leader were birthed and shows you the very basics of Eve, like flying, mining, shooting, fitting, etc. Then we also added the air career program, which is basically a collection of tasks that allows players to set short-term goals for themselves and explore the different careers that you can have in Eve, such as explorer, industrialist, enforcer, etc.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of new player-friendly corporations in Eve. Like if some of you who have played for a long time, you might remember that it wasn't a thing, like until maybe 10 years ago, or maybe a bit more, that new players were really in such a demand as they are today. Right? It was, I believe, started by Brave, that just kind of created this corporation, having in mind, or alliance, having in mind, like, we want newbies, right? They are valuable, and we'll train them, and we'll become a big group. And they were the first organization to cross the 10,000 members number. And that made others inspired, right? That's how other big alliances started creating their own kind of divisions for new players, like Pandemic Legion created Pandemic Horde, right? There's like Karma Fleet in Goonswarm, and many other organizations do similar things, where there are corporations or alliances that are out there looking for new players, trying to recruit them, trying to teach them stuff. So this wasn't a thing, right? Like, you guys invented it, and that immensely helps new players if they are joining organizations like that.
Speaking about community, one thing that community also immensely contributes to general knowledge is YouTube tutorials. You can find a lot of high-quality educational stuff there. Everything including fitting recommendations, how to use a D-scan, life in wormholes, etc. Me, myself, I needed help from YouTube tutorials when a couple of years ago I started playing EVE. I had no idea how to scan signatures. So I had to go, found this really high-quality tutorial on YouTube and learned it there.
Yeah, before I go into the player-made tools, I mentioned like new player organizations. EVE Uni, obviously, was purposely built just to help new players, but also let's have a round of applause for the Uni Wiki. Like, guys, well, this is the... I'm sure everyone here used Uni Wiki at some point, right? It's immense help. But speaking about player-made tools, third-party tools, PyFa, EveMon, Dotlan, and a bunch more, they help a lot. And again, they started appearing years back, even in 2006 or 5, I believe, like EveMon was one of the first apps just to manage your character progression, especially if you had more than one. That was super helpful. So for new players to understand how the skills work with each other and like have a fitting and then have a list of skills needed for it, that was immense help. Like the fitting tool in-game didn't have that, if you remember. So it was the third-party tools that helped new players on their, at the beginning of their journey. And as well as Dotlan. Like today, it's probably veterans that use it the most, but still for new players to be able to kind of around themselves in space in a different way is very useful.
And now we would like to open the floor for more discussion. Please tell us your stories about your first corp, your first loss, your first scam, etc. Or ask us questions about the new player experience, whatever you want. Please raise your hand again if you have something to say, and we'll find you.
I believe you, sir, were the first, right? From the previous round.
Thank you. It's 2005. Discovered this EVE game. This is fascinating. Got to do it. Got to make some money. I have to have that ship. That ship is at Estero. How do you get to Estero? You have to buy it. I need money. The only way I knew to make money at the time was commodity trading. Get the cheap stuff, take it to another stuff. 6 months later, I got the money. I got the Estero. I went to Hitajira. I was like, oh, now I can go explore things, and went into Otsela and died at the gate by the Otsala gate campers. I rage quit for 2 days and never went back to low-sec again. I'm a 20-year solo Care Bear high-secker because of that event.
I can relate. Yep.
Thank you so much. I actually gave a talk here 18 months ago where I counted this story, so it might be duplicate for some of you, but a lot of you won't have heard it before. I started playing at 5:21 on the day of launch, so July 2003, and I spent about 8 weeks in Amar, orbiting a Veldspar rock in a Tormentor to save up to buy my first battleship, which was a Scorpion. And I took this Scorpion, intended to take this Scorpion out to what was the nullsec staging for our corp in a location called TPRG. And I thought that I was jumping into a blue gate camp on the way to TPRG, but it turned out that we had, let's say, broken diplomatic ties with the people on the other side of the gate about 5 minutes before I jumped through it, and that was the end of my Scorpion. And also, I guess it kind of prompted a lifelong distrust of nullsec, because I have never, ever lived in nullsec in my 22-year playing career. I'm a dedicated low-secker and will never go into those locations without the guidance of support of a competent FC. That's what I would say. And also check your standings.
We see some common theme here. Yeah.
Thank you. Next question or comment?
Thank you. So technically, my first day playing EVE was back in the times of the beta, because I'd read about things in magazines, back when magazines were a thing, and had a go at it. Spent about an hour on it, thought it was very pretty, but it was very early, and there's not a lot you could do, because it was still a beta. But I was really heavily invested with another MMO, so I put EVE down, read about it, but I was like, no, I can't really start another one, because I'll lose my life to 2 MMOs. Anyway, that one went down the pan, Star Wars Galaxies, if anyone remembers it. And eventually I was like, right, I've done a lot of reading, and I've got a lot of time coming up. And so 2 days after my firstborn was born, I created my first character in EVE. And I started off with all the learning skills, because I was too sleep deprived to do anything else at that point. And today, he's here, 18 years later.
Wow.
So brought him with me. It's about time. I've been coming here since 2013, so about time I brought one of them along.
Heartwarming story, thank you.
Hello. It's about my first ship loss. One of our corp decided to show us rookies around the level 4 mission. I was back then flying an assault cruiser. Well, nice little boat, nice little beastie. Suddenly things go wrong. Poof, floating around in my pod. Now, what the hell happens? Skip the time a few years later, I'm showing the newies in our corp around. Similar situation happens. I get a little bit careless and suddenly I find a whole bunch of angels about 15 kilometers from my ship. At least I managed to get my corp mates out by saying, guys, run, I have it. So it's a bit of mirroring. It can happen to everyone.
Indeed.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you.
So I'm going to talk about my first escapade out into piracy from being a Care Bear. My corporation was hosting an event on who can steal the most during one of your guys' seasonal events, and I let one of the players in the corporation by the name of Enzo Nabana convince me to fit a caracal completely brick fit with auto-targeting missiles in the top and nothing but warp core stabilizers in the bottom back when they were a passive module. So what I did is I let this Ikitursa do all of the work in the site, and then I approached the loot can. I did not take from it, but the Ikitursa red boxed me, and Concord promptly destroyed him. And I ended up winning that event because that Ikitursa was worth about 12 billion ISK.
Wow.
Thank you.
Maybe I can share mine as well here. I'm Alaska, and I was in high sec at the beginning in 2017 or something, and I wanted to explore low sec, so I went to Karoo, which is one of those closed JITA low sec, in a venture, and well, immediately got killed by some of the locals, which I made contact with, and they hosted me in a corp, and they explained me stuff, and they said, you know, in low sec, first of all, you need to have the right fit with your venture or whatever. I think it was a procurer that they suggested. So, yeah, it was a procurer. So you need to have some of those things that avoid or block in people, and so that they can't warp, and we can jump to you, save you, and kill them. And you never fly alone. You really need support in low sec. You can't do anything alone. Alone, you're dead. So the first lesson, alone is dead. Second lesson, I need to have those warp things that I didn't know about at the time to prevent people from warping out. So I was into the ice stuff, trying to do some mining with my thing, and suddenly someone pops in. So I lock him, as they said. I shout at the others, come and support. and he's alone, so it should be probably the right sequence. He's alone, I'm not, and I'm locking in. So the guys just undock, and they say, no, we weren't calm. I say, why is that? And then I get one shot, and then I didn't understand, because he was alone, I was supposed to be supported. Well, it was a rainy Arok. So, yeah, with a Titan in front of me, a Titan killed a Procurer in 2017 or 18, I think. In Karoo, you can check. That was me.
Thank you. More stories or questions?
Yeah, for me, it was first time in a wormhole. So I didn't know anything about wormholes. I knew they existed. That was about the extent of it. Didn't know the mechanics, didn't know how to look up the J number, the class number, nothing. So my corp mates found a wormhole and wanted to try running one of the sites in it. I'm like, cool, that sounds like fun. I haven't done this before. So I get a Proteus. They're in just some kitchen sink fleet of stuff. And we finished the site somehow. Still don't know which class it was. And then suddenly, a T3C fleet decloaks next to us. And I don't know what's going on at this point. Some of my corp mates warp off. I just pretty much die immediately. And I still don't know who killed us or where we were. So that was my first experience with a wormhole, and I didn't touch them for the next 6 years.
Thank you. Any more?
Just really quick, I realized that first venture loss was not my first day at New Eden. It was the first day I knew how to do anything, because when I first started, I was searching around for some space game on Google Play and couldn't find it. But the very next day, because Google's always watching, it was like, oh, you like space? Here's an Eve ad. And I was completely lied to. It was just this amazing, oh, you can go anywhere, you can fight these amazing space battles, you can explore the far reaches of the universe, and then I spent a week not knowing how to leave my own system.
Thank you.
I have a quick one. So 2004 player, one of the things I guess I could talk about, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time on, is just the new player experience. So I started in 2004. I'm still getting that new player experience today. And I guess that's what makes EVE so great. When I started, I was promptly told by the people talking local, hey, go out to see Old Man Star, and I went because I was naive, and I had a great time, and then I got blown up on the way back. But I'm like, hey, all right, don't listen to everything. And there's just been a series of recurring events where it's like, okay, you're doing this, you're having the experience, you're learning a lesson from it. And over the years, I've met a ton of great people. I've come here to Fanfest. And now I like to spend a lot of my time in the new player experience channel, sharing what I know, and it's just all part of what makes EVE great. You take it on the chin, you don't fly what you can't afford to lose, and you just carry on having those great experiences.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I've got a little bit of a story in two parts. Much like many of the other folks here, I spent most of my 2006 birth date in EVE in HiSec, and it took 2 different attempts to try and find a new home outside of HiSec before I landed where I was at. The first one was with a wormhole corp of some hometown friends from mine in Nebraska, and joined them. Immediately they said, hey, can you fly an Oracle? I'm like, yeah, I can fly an Oracle. Come on, we've got some, we just found a new wormhole we went and got. We've got to do some eviction. And this was back in the early days of Wormhole, where every moon had a POS with hundreds of modules. So my first week was spent 10 hours a day shooting pauses in an Oracle. And I decided this wasn't for me. So I left, kind of went AFK for a while, and then came back about a year, or when I made my next attempt to go find a new home about a year and a half ago was in nullsec with buddy of mine was like, oh, I've got a friend who lives down in Deterate at the time with a corp. We should go join them. I'm like, sure, I've never done nullsec. Go down there. Corp was dead. No, we were the only 2 active players in the corp, but the Alliance was a good group of people. And over the span of a couple months, I went from a random null nobody to right as Equinox launched. I was mapping out SOV of Equinox and helping the Alliance determine what was the most valuable space and everything. And part of that, unfortunately, was realizing our space is too good. And then because of my mapping, helped plan the evacuation for G Club out of nullsec and Deterate at the time. So it was took 2 attempts, but finally found a nice home outside of the safety of HiSec.
Nice. Thank you. Do we have more stories or questions?
So I've been playing since 2012 and 13. And the first few years I was like a typical nullsec carrier, joined a few big fleets, did a bit of small scale stuff, and a bit of solo stuff. But when you fly solo and bring like a ship that looks like it can actually do combat, people bring 10 guys that can do actual combat. So at some point I got pretty frustrated about it and kind of stopped. But I always got the itch back to do it again. And since I fly Logi in like big fleets always, I had a pretty like intimate relationship with like the Scimitar or Nyros. My wallet didn't, so I looked at the Scythe and like the Executor. And then I looked at the Scythe again and it was like SE2 turret slots and a missile launcher slot. So I obviously put small lasers on it on a rocket launcher, like some good armor tank in the lows, a tracking disruptor in the mid, Tenements, Graham Webb. Got that fixed shipped down to me at my home. And then I saw like, oh, there's a Cinnabal coming, he's alone. And he jumped into my system. I was like, oh, am I AFK? I baited him on a gauge, just sitting there like, oh, I'm AFK, I'm alone, Scythe, T1. Like, well, just shoot me. So yeah, he hit approach, and I hit orbit 500 with a tracking disruptor. So he very slowly, with like a 200 DPS, he was slowly, very, very slowly dying. You know, barely could counter his like peak recharge on this buffer fit. And when he was in like 10% hull, a blue vagabond showed up and fucking stole the fucking final blow. But ever since then, I've been doing good on a promise of CCP of putting Logi on kill mail.
Thank you.
So, yes, it's working. So I read the board My First Scam, and I'm thinking, well, that's in that sense, it was actually my second almost rage quit. My first rage quit was when I was 3 weeks old, almost. But the bottom line to both of these is that there are players in EVE who help you out when you're absolutely miserable. And so I want to phrase, the thing that has always kept me in EVE is because there are players who help you in the darkest moments. So rather than go into details, I think that's the TLDR. That, that without other players, there would be no EVE. In the sense of, it's people first. Thank you.
That's very true. Thank you.
So my first day was pretty eventful. I did everything that's on that list happened in my first day. I was streaming my first experience playing EVE Online, and so there were a bunch of people from Twitch who were watching me experience the game for the very first time. I'd only planned on streaming for like 3 or 4 hours, and ended up going for, I think, more than 10 hours in the first gameplay session. And a lot of these things happened simultaneously. So in the process of playing the game, I started looking at the market, and I found these weird things called filaments. And I thought that those were kind of interesting, and chat was like, you should use one of those. And I was like, what do they do? They're like, you'll find out. So my first, I count this as a scam, resulted in me being dropped into the middle of nullsec with no idea what was actually going on and attempting to make it back to HiSec alive. Chat was convinced that I was not going to make it back alive. They were like, you are definitely dead. And I was like, little do you know, I'm an expert video game player. I'm going to make it back. And 5 jumps later, I was dead, and I made it back the fast way. to Jita or wherever it was at the time. I don't think it was even Jita. I think it might have just sent me straight back to like your new player like starting home station. And then after that quick scam, chat decided, well, we can convince them to do anything. Let's see how they handle wormhole space. And so at the very end of the day, 30 seconds before downtime, I warped to 0 on a wormhole that I had somehow managed to scan down with the help of everybody, and died immediately on landing at 0 to a bunch of Triglavians who were guarding their Pochven wormhole. And then the game closed because downtime started, and I was like, I have no idea what just happened, but I'll be back tomorrow.
Thank you. We have time for one last question or comment or story.
I would like to share about my first PvP experience. So I was in HiSec mostly. Shout out to CAS, Center of Advanced Studies, the NPC Corp. They also help a lot learning about the game and such. I had a friend that accepted to help me to learn how to PvP. So we just warped the wormhole, and I get into an Atron, jump in. The first thing I see, a Heron just beside the wormhole, just look it in, and then kill it and get the wipe, get in that PvP action. Then I look at the profile, and then I start asking my friend, okay, who's this person? What is this corp? It turned out to be a Signal Cartel. And then I was like, okay, what is Signal Cartel? And then she explained to me their purpose, and then that was the time that I understand that EVE is not just shooting ships or doing stuff, but it's also about like people and communities around it. As soon as I knew, I was like, just directly messaged the guy and saying that, hey, can I just SRP, can I just give you something? I felt so bad. But I mean, still having that PvP vibe going on, I guess.
Thanks for sharing.
Thank you. Right. Thank you guys very much for your stories. They're all amazing. We can see that some things are very similar, some things are very different. But thank you very much. And I just want to say at the end that there's no other time in EVE's history that has had more resources or more tools available for new players. And that's mostly thanks to you, the community. So thank you guys, and have a great Fanfest.